Out. Unit. Out.
Guys, I think somebody should grab my camera.
That's what I've been hearing all night long.
These clips will make you rethink your next camping encounter. From being surrounded by roaring lions in the pitch-black African bush, to unexpectedly uncovering a body hidden deep in the forest. Are you ready to face what's hiding in the dark? Morris from the YouTube channel, Morris's Paranormal Adventures, UK traveled to Holton Colliery in the United Kingdom, near a deserted mining location connected to a disaster from the early 1900s. He intended to explore the site and set up a camp, but shortly after arriving he heard something that made him realize he was not alone.
You better see the walk. So I put the bits in for you on the walk. And I am sweating. Sounds like there's people already here. Somebody is living here. I don't think this is a good idea, you know. Right guys, it's things like this that get me a little bit worried now. Because it's not a really big area, you see. But I'm not too sure about that now. This woods is a big nut house, what they call a nut house, which has got loads of people who are... A lot of them seem to, over the years, have escaped. Now, I don't want to be stuck in here with somebody like that. I don't feel safe here. I feel like there's people here watching me. As I was crossing the field, I heard two people, one started laughing and one started coughing. Now, I sat in them woods, guys, for an hour in them bushes on my own, having a drink. So whether they're drug addicts, whether they're alcoholics or hostile people, I don't really know what they are. I will be back though, guys. I'm going to come back tomorrow.
He chose to leave and return later that same day. When he came back, he set up camp close to the old mine shafts. Not long after, he started hearing footsteps around him.
Because this is, like I said, not safe. Don't know who's living up here, what they're doing up here. Wow, sure I saw some shadows then. As soon as it said that, I heard cracking in the bushes at the back. Can't believe how light it looks on this camera, guys. 11 o'clock. I can hear footsteps. I put the spirit talker on the floor here. Guys, I'm getting eaten by midges.
They found my body.
They found my body? Was it here where they found your body? In this exact spot? Can you tell me your name? Is your name on the memorial down the road?
Then his spirit communication device began generating unsettling responses.
Stuart, can you come and stand on the shafts for me, mate? Maybe switch the lantern on and off. Would you do that?
Civil.
Civil? I'm not here for anything else. Just to find out why you're still here. I know you had a bad accident, but you've not been able to cross over, maybe? Seriously, these midges are getting to me, guys. What the fuck? Guys, I'm not trying to scare myself. It's scary enough as it is. You can probably understand that. Guys, I think somebody should grab my camera. I can hear people behind me. Look, I'm not here to be scared or anything like that. I don't want you to scare me, right? Literally just want to find out why you're stuck here. No, I didn't.
Pain.
Pain?
The longer he stayed and continued using the device, the stronger the feeling became that something else was there with him.
So I'm going to leave now. And is there anything you'd like to say before I leave on the machine? Please do so. Right, I'm going to let you go then. Don't want to disturb you anymore. I'm going to pack my stuff up and go now. I appreciate you talking to me, I really do. Thank you so much. Hopefully one day we can talk again when you're not as tired. So guys, it's still going. They're telling me to get out of here and they like the dark and stuff. Right guys, I think I'm going to get out of here now. It's spirit talker was going crazy, saying get out and stuff, so saying they was tired and things like that. I don't want to be disturbing any spirits if they don't want to chat, guys.
In the end, he decided to leave, realizing how dangerous this camping encounter had become and how risky it was to stay alone in a place like that. Sometimes quiet places can carry more than just history, and when sounds or signals begin to feel responsive, it becomes harder to ignore what might be present. So if you were standing there alone hearing those same things, would you stay or walk away? On the freezing night of February 24th, 1978, 5 young men from Yuba County, California, Bill Sterling, Jack Hewitt, Ted Weir, Jack Madruga, and Gary Mathias, set out toward California State University in Chico to watch a basketball game. They were excited because the next day they were scheduled to compete in their own Special Olympics basketball tournament. Before leaving, they had carefully laid out their uniforms at home, but they never made it back. Although each of the men had mild developmental or psychological conditions, they lived independently and were well respected in their community. Their sudden disappearance immediately concerned their families, and a police search began within days. The group's 1972 Mercury Montego was eventually found, but instead of providing answers, it raised more questions. The car was discovered an hour away in the opposite direction, high in the Plumas National Forest along a remote mountain road in the northern Sierra Nevada. It had been left stuck in a snowbank. The keys were missing, yet the engine still worked, and the tires showed no damage. Investigators noted that 5 adult men could have easily pushed it free. Inside, there were only a few empty food wrappers and drink containers. Search teams combed the forest, but a heavy storm moved through soon after, wiping away tracks and any signs that could explain where the men had gone. Then, unusual eyewitness accounts began to surface. A man named Joseph Kunz claimed he saw the group on the same night they disappeared. Kunz had suffered a mild heart attack while trying to free his own car from the snow. He reported seeing a group of men with flashlights walking nearby. When he tried to get their attention for help, the lights turned away and disappeared into the darkness. Another witness later reported seeing 5 men in a red pickup truck during the Saturday and Sunday following the disappearance. Months went by without any new leads. Then in June 1978, the first body was discovered. A forest worker noticed a broken window at a U.S. Forest Service trailer located 20 miles from where the car had been abandoned. Inside was the body of Ted Weir. He had wrapped himself in blankets and his feet were badly frostbitten, but more disturbing was the cause of death. He had starved, even though a supply of food was stored nearby. The trailer's fireplace heating system and extra warm clothing had not been used. It is believed Ted may have survived for as long as 13 weeks after the group vanished. Not far along the hillside between the trailer and the abandoned car, the remains of Sterling, Hewitt, and Madruga were found. All had died from exposure to the cold, their bodies spread across the terrain. Only one man was never located, Gary Mathias. His shoes were found deep in the forest, but his body has never been recovered. Part of the story is still missing, and what happened may never be fully known. If you were in that same place, would you have made different choices or followed the same path? Late at night, a man was out on a fishing trip near a quiet village. The area was completely still, but after some time, he began to feel like he wasn't alone. When he shined his flashlight around, the riverbank appeared empty. Then he heard a noise coming from the trees. He noticed what seemed to be a woman standing there. Realizing the situation didn't feel right, he ran without turning back. To this day, he still doesn't know what he saw that night. The video can't be confirmed as staged or not. It's unclear whether that figure was a real person or just something else. But if it wasn't even human, the fact that it appeared there is even more unsettling. What do you think about this situation? Jack runs a channel where he documents his metal detecting outings, often uncovering old coins and misplaced items. This time, he entered a forest hoping to find gold. At first, he came across a few interesting finds. As he moved further in, a strong odor lingered in the air. Birds circled overhead, and the atmosphere began to feel off.
Aí, gente, estamos no carreiro já. Eu acho que é gavião, alguma coisa assim. Mas tá cheiro de carniça aqui. Olha lá, ó. Cuidado, Faísca. Isso aí carrega você pro céu. Tá cheiro de carniça, bem estranho aqui.
Then he came across something unexpected. It wasn't treasure. It was a body.
Olha. Ui. O tanto de cabelo, gente. Uma maçaroca de cabelo. Olha aqui, ó. Gente do céu. Acabou com a nossa caçada aí, ó. Vamos ter que chamar a polícia imediatamente. Nossa senhora, que carniça, gente. Ó. Olha aí, gente. Dá pra você filmar aqui, câmera aí.
He contacted the police and remained there until they completed their work. They confirmed it was a woman, but did not provide additional details. What started as a simple search ended in a somber moment, but it also meant he helped bring closure to someone's family. Sometimes situations like this shift from routine to something far more serious in an instant. And when an ordinary moment turns into something this heavy, it can stay with you long after. So if you were in that same situation, would you have stayed or walked away? The next unsettling camping encounter comes from Rachel and Tommy, a US-based adventure and paranormal exploration channel focused on nighttime wilderness treks, cryptid investigations, and immersive encounters in remote forest environments. It is July 9th, 2023 in Wichita National Forest, Florida Panhandle, United States. And what they picked up that night wasn't something they could see.
We just saw something up in a tree over here, and obviously, like you just pointed out, could be an owl, could be maybe a mountain goat. Probably not that.
Rachel and Tommy positioned themselves on a wooded hill, keeping their dog Badger close while observing the surrounding area. Distant fireworks can be heard, but aside from that, the forest remains mostly quiet. They talk about typical wildlife behavior and listen closely to the faint sounds around them, staying alert as darkness settles in.
The thing is, you can hear fireworks, but up by the shop, the fireworks didn't bother them at all. So I don't know if he senses something, smells something.
Trying to figure out what might be out there, they switch to a directional microphone. Through it, they pick up what sounds like footsteps moving through the trees. The noise does not match the distant fireworks, and there are no visible people nearby. The uncertainty quickly increases the tension.
What?
Well, I can tell you that they don't believe in this stuff.
They're out here doing it?
Yeah.
As they continue listening, the situation becomes more unsettling. They begin mentioning how animals, especially dogs and females, seem unusually drawn to them during previous explorations. The idea suggests a pattern, adding another layer of unease to what is unfolding around them. There is no clear visual confirmation of anything in the forest, but the combination of unexplained sounds, Badger's reaction, and the strange behavior patterns they describe creates a lingering sense that something may have been nearby. Instead of continuing further, they choose to step back and return another time. If you were hearing those same sounds in the dark, would you keep going or decide to turn back? This camping encounter takes a different turn. In the summer of 2015, the Kunz family went on a short trip to Timber Creek Campground in Deorr, Idaho, a getaway that should have been simple and calm. The group included parents Jessica Mitchell and Vernon Deorr Kunz Sr., their 2-year-old son Deorr Kunz Jr., Jessica's grandfather Robert Bob Walton, and family friend Isaac Reinhardt. The family left Idaho Falls on July 9, 2015. Walton and Reinhardt traveled in a separate vehicle and met the young family at the remote campground. Later that night, they arrived after dark. Little Deorr helped set up the camp and gathered around the fire before everyone settled in, unaware that the next day would become a nightmare. The morning of July 10th began like any other camping trip. The family stayed near the campsite, enjoying the quiet. At one point, Jessica asked her grandfather Bob to watch Deorr while she and Vernon joined Isaac to walk a short distance away to fish. A simple, ordinary request. But by 2 p.m., everything changed. When Jessica and Vernon returned, Deorr was gone. They searched frantically, calling his name, but he did not appear. Vernon got into his truck and drove down the dirt road until he could reach cell service. Jessica's phone briefly connected at the campground, and she placed a 911 call at 2:28 p.m.
The address of your emergency?
I'm actually camping in Deorr. My 2-year-old son, we can't find him.
Okay, what is he wearing?
He was wearing cowboy boots, like pajama pants, and a camel jacket. And he's got shaggy blonde hair.
Is your husband calling too?
All down where we were camping at, and we can't find him.
No one else had been camping near them that day. The area was enclosed by a hill on one side and an 8 to 10 foot drop to a creek on the other. Vernon later stated it was such a small area that there was no way the child could have wandered off without being seen. By 3:45 p.m., search and rescue teams arrived. For 2 weeks, crews searched the ground, the creek, and the surrounding wilderness using helicopters, divers, and dogs. But nothing led to answers. Then, the case took a shocking turn. In January 2016, 6 months after the disappearance, Sheriff Lynn Bowerman announced that Deorr's parents were now persons of interest.
Basically, I was saying they were the top persons of interest. I believe they're suspects. After an extensive week of interviewing, re-interviewing, and an announcement from the FBI that they were being less than truthful on their polygraphs, and a lot of irregularities and discrepancies in their interviews.
He told reporters that both parents had been less than truthful, pointing to inconsistencies in their statements and polygraph results. This raised new questions about whether something had happened that was not being revealed. The case became more concerning months later in 2016. The couple was evicted from their home for unpaid rent, and among the belongings left behind was Deorr's camouflage jacket, the same one they said he was wearing when he disappeared. This discovery added more doubt and suspicion. Despite years of investigation, no arrests have been made, and no remains have ever been found. To this day, the disappearance of Deorr Kunz Jr. remains one of Idaho's most disturbing unsolved cases. Sometimes cases like this don't follow a clear path, and small details begin to feel more important over time. So if something doesn't fully add up, would you trust what you're told or question what's missing? A woman was walking her dog through a cemetery when he suddenly paused near a grave and refused to move, staring at it without stopping.
What's going on, bud? What is that? Huh? What?
She moved closer, trying to understand what was bothering him, and one detail immediately stood out. Only a single blue fan on the grave was spinning, while the pink one next to it and the surrounding flowers remained completely still. There was no wind, and with no clear explanation, she began recording. She didn't know the person buried there, and her dog had never behaved like this before. Some believe animals can sense things humans cannot, and moments like this make that idea difficult to ignore. Would you trust what you saw or look for another explanation? A woman went solo camping in southwest Alaska. The area was quiet and deserted, and for several days nothing seemed off. But one rainy night, she woke up just after midnight, and a sense of unease settled in as a loud banging came from outside. A brown bear hit the tent. She stayed frozen, holding her bear spray tightly. After a long and tense wait, the noise finally stopped, and she slowly made her way to her car, remaining there until morning. At daylight, tracks revealed the bear had walked directly from the car to her tent, and she realized once again how close she had come to real danger. If you heard those same sounds outside your tent, Would you stay still or try to get away? The next clip comes from Connor Outdoors, a US-based outdoor and adventure channel centered on immersive trail experiences, camping encounter, and real-time events in nature. It is April 11th, 2024 in the United States at a conservation area trail camp. The video starts off casually but quickly shifts. The creator explains that a fire has started nearby. Firefighters are already present, and thick smoke fills the air. The smell of burning vegetation is strong, creating an immediate sense of urgency even before reaching the scene. Once arriving, the situation becomes clear. Large areas of land are already burned, with heavy smoke still rising. Discarded items like cigarettes suggest the fire may have been caused by human activity. What began as a routine outing has now turned into a real-time emergency. Despite the danger, the creator steps in to help. Wearing only flip-flops, they move through muddy terrain, trying to contain smaller flames. The lack of proper equipment increases the risk, but the urgency leaves little room for hesitation.
Oh, yuck.
Eventually, parts of the fire are brought under control. The tension begins to ease, and the video ends on a lighter note, with laughter and relief after a situation that could have become much worse. This encounter shows real courage to step in and help in a situation like this, especially without hesitation. But it also highlights how important proper safety gear can be, because helping without the right protection can quickly become dangerous. In western Massachusetts, a camper reported seeing something unusual during a routine trip in the woods. He noticed a tall brown figure standing among broken tree branches. The shape appeared to be over 7 feet tall and blended into the surrounding trees. From a distance, it was difficult to tell whether it was just a large branch or something else entirely, and he couldn't even confirm if it was moving. Instead of approaching, he took a photo and left the area, left wondering if he had briefly seen Bigfoot, or if it was simply pareidolia affecting his perception. Some viewers believe it was just a tree or shadows blending together, while others feel the shape looks too defined to ignore. If you saw the same figure from a distance, would you trust what you saw or question it? This camping encounter comes from Outdoor Experience, a US outdoor exploration channel centered on solo backpacking and wilderness camping. The content focuses on realistic first-person situations with attention to navigation, survival planning, and environmental conditions. It is September 24th, 2022, in Florida, United States.
So I'm just about at the creek, and this is why I never hiked out to that camping spot from this side. That is a steep downhill, and this will go all the way down to the creek.
The creator heads toward Trigger Creek, coming back after 2 years away to revisit previous camping locations. The landscape has changed significantly, with overgrown paths, fallen limbs, and parts of the creek that have dried out, slowing movement and making travel harder. Multiple campsite options are checked, many showing signs of flooding or erosion. Eventually, he chooses higher ground away from the creek and starts setting up for the night.
That's the fire pit. You can see one of the rocks right there, another one right there, and it is completely covered in sand. It looks like dirt, but it's sand.
One detail stands out right away. The original fire pit is fully covered beneath sand and debris, suggesting the area has been taken over by natural changes since his last visit.
I'm in here and it was not fun. I have a horrible back. Opened up my sleeping bag all the way. I wanted to be able to get inside the sleeping bag and zip it up. So I got my shoes off. It hurt. These small tents are kind of hard to get into nowadays.
As night arrives, the atmosphere shifts. Coyotes begin howling in the distance, though likely farther than they seem. The echoes move through the quiet forest, creating an isolated and uneasy feeling.
The rain is starting to come a little early. It wasn't supposed to start raining till later on, like around 10, 11 a.m. It's 7 a.m. and it's already sprinkling. I'll probably be getting up pretty soon and start packing up because later on...
Rain starts earlier than expected. With limited shelter and already fatigued, he is forced to pack quickly, cutting the stay short and managing the situation under pressure. Overgrowth, shifting terrain, and a drying creek turn a once familiar location into something far less predictable. Despite the setbacks, he manages to pack up and make his way out safely, relying on his own judgment and persistence. Small changes can slowly create bigger risks without warning, so when conditions shift this fast, would you recognize it early enough to react or wait until it is already too late? The footage comes from Camping with Champion, a U.S. wilderness and bushcraft channel centered on solo camping survival challenges and improvised outdoor experiences. It is July 5th, 2025 at Guntersville Lake, northern Alabama, United States. Todd starts the journey by trying to reach a small island, using a cheap inflatable raft and a single oar. Almost right away, things become difficult as wind and waves push the raft off course, causing it to rotate uncontrollably.
Oh no, I'm spinning. Okay. I rearranged my stuff on top of my body now. Ow. My feet are stuck. I'm way too big for this, and I have way too much stuff. Alright, let's go.
Progress is slow and draining, and he drifts back and forth across the water, struggling to keep direction. The effort builds quickly, turning what should be a short crossing into a physically demanding challenge.
Every time a boat comes by, I get these big waves. It makes it very hard to paddle. See if I can show you how close we are. I think we're about halfway there. This is taking so much harder than I thought it was gonna be. That's where we started from. I'm just gonna put my head down and get this done. We're almost there. We are very close. It's right there. I'm starting to get worried now. The sun is starting to go down and I haven't even got on shore yet. This is not the tropical island that I had pictured in my mind. I think I'm gonna go right over here, maybe under these trees, because it looks a little bit easier to get on land than over this log.
Eventually, he makes it to the island, but not without cost, exhausted and soaked. Todd begins unloading gear and rushing to set up his hammock before darkness fully settles in. The terrain is uneven and overgrown, forcing him to move carefully with each step. As night takes over, the environment shifts. Wildlife sounds echo across the island, with distant howls, movement in the brush, and fish breaking the surface of the lake. Insects gather quickly, turning the quiet isolation into something more uncomfortable and constant. These conditions continue to wear him down.
The sounds out here are freaking crazy. As soon as I got quiet and stopped talking, just all kinds of stuff started coming alive. I'd just been sitting here for like 5 minutes and there was just all these sounds happening. And when I'm talking to the camera, it feels like I'm not alone. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but there is something howling. Is it possible for coyotes to be on this island? I really didn't think there could be, big animals here because I'm out in the middle of the water, so. But it was loud for a few minutes. They've quietened down now. I put my pants on and I'm putting my boots on now. I have Thermacell. I sprayed myself with bug spray. I wish I would have brought some earplugs for tonight.
Surrounded by insects, Todd collects firewood and starts a small fire for protection. Even simple tasks become exhausting in the heat and humidity as he prepares a meal and tries to secure his campsite. The experience becomes a test of both physical and mental endurance. Despite the discomfort and tension, he stays in control. Sometimes the hardest part is not one big moment, but everything adding up over time. And when small problems keep stacking up like this, would you keep going or stop before it gets worse? A couple was walking during their camping trip when they suddenly spotted a blue light in the sky. It had a distinct rectangular shape and stayed in one place. It didn't flicker or shift color. It didn't move like an airplane or a drone, and there was no sound, leaving them confused. The couple continued recording, uncertain about what they were witnessing, and later shared the video online. Some viewers pointed to advanced technology, while others thought it might be something unknown. The object never moved or disappeared. After observing it for some time, the couple chose to return to their van. A trail camera in a Michigan forest captured a strange image that later appeared on Facebook. The photo shows an unknown figure moving through the trees. Its body looks thin, with narrow shoulders, long arms, and eyes reflecting the light. Some believe it is just a dog seen from an odd angle, while others think it could be something else entirely. With so little detail, the identity of the figure remains unclear. When there is not enough detail to explain what you are seeing, would you trust the obvious answer or consider something else? A Reddit user went camping near Glengarriff around Halloween and came across something unsettling not far from the campsite. Small, eerie dolls were arranged on a tree, wrapped in worn, decaying cloth. It was unclear if it was an art display, a warning, or something darker. Whatever the purpose, the scene felt wrong, so the camper packed up and moved to another spot. If you were there, would you stay and figure it out or leave before it gets worse? The next disturbing video comes from Folkers Herhold, an adventure and wilderness channel focused on solo bush camping, immersive wildlife encounters, and survival in harsh natural environments. It is March 14th, 2026 in South Africa, in remote bushland as the sun begins to set. Folkers prepares his hammock setup beneath umbrella thorn trees. He strengthens a protective barrier using branches, tends to his fires, and scans the surrounding bush. As daylight fades, the environment grows louder. Distant rustling, shifting wind, and subtle movement in the trees begin to build tension. The calm starts to feel unstable, with the awareness that predators could already be nearby.
Yeah, they're going absolutely insane. I heard a fish eagle here. There are monkeys and baboons going. 100% a predator. 100%.
Moments later, the danger becomes more real. Lion roars echo through the bush, estimated to be within 100 to 150 meters of the campsite. The sound carries clearly through the darkness, forcing Folkers to remain alert and steady near the fire. The night becomes even more active.
Quite close here, from about 100 meters, 150. I think it's in that drainage line. So I'm gonna go to bed. I think it's time. And yeah, I made 2 fires. I want this one to die out because it's blowing smoke when it turns right at my hammock. But I want to keep a fire going, so that's why I made that one.
Hippos begin vocalizing from a nearby drainage line. Managing 2 fires for both warmth and protection, Folkers balances rest with constant awareness, knowing how quickly the situation could shift.
But I think they moved off now. I can't sleep anymore. It's about 3 o'clock and I'm just gonna get this fire going and sit by the fire bit to heat up. I was cold the whole night. I don't know what the deal was with that buffalo, but they are in the back here now. I don't know, they seem very uneasy for some reason.
Then movement approaches. A herd of buffalo runs close to the campsite, their presence heavy and unpredictable. Folkers remain still, observing carefully as they move through the darkness. As dawn approaches, the sounds begin to change. Bush babies call out along with other subtle signs of wildlife activity. The intensity of the night starts to fade, but the sense of alertness remains. Folkers manages to hold his position, using fire, observation, and experience to navigate the risk. By morning, he leaves after enduring a night surrounded by some of Africa's most dangerous wildlife, relying entirely on his instincts and preparation. A reminder that in environments like this, survival is not about comfort. It is about staying one step ahead of everything around you. While driving past a wooded area looking for a place to camp, a person noticed a figure moving between the trees. They slowed near a clearing to get a better look. The movement did not match any known animal in the area. It did not appear to be a bear. Since there is no source showing who originally posted it or where it was recorded, it is difficult to judge the video and the story. This camping encounter leaves more questions than answers. Would you try to understand it or let it go? A woman had parked her van near a field when she noticed what appeared to be two bright suns. One was the real sun, while the other looked slightly dimmer.
Show that it's not my glare again, because people always say that kind of stuff. Zoom out. Zoom in. Out. In.
What is happening? The Matrix.
Matrix. God.
And on the naked eye, you
Naked
only
eye, you
see the big sun.
cannot see it.
It was not a reflection or lens flare. The second light did not shift when she moved the camera. Could it be a natural phenomenon, or could it somehow be the moon? She is asking for any explanations. What do you think it could be? Sometimes things in the sky look familiar but still feel off. And when something stays in place without a clear reason, what do you think it really was? This footage was recorded in Bluefield, West Virginia, by a cabin security camera facing a wooded area. Most recordings appeared normal until one clip showed a dark figure moving along the tree line. It stayed close to the ground and moved at an unusual speed. The motion did not match any known animal from the region, and no one has a clear explanation. This camping encounter leaves a strange moment without a clear answer, so what do you think it could be? The next intense video of the night comes from Outside the Box, a U.S. outdoor channel focused on solo camping, wilderness survival, and practical gear testing. The content highlights real-time setup and the challenges of off-grid living, especially in colder conditions. It is January 28th, 2018 in the Florida Panhandle, United States.
That's what I've been hearing all night long.
As night settles in, the vlogger rests in his hammock. Distant coyote calls carry through the trees, blending with other faint forest sounds. The noise is steady enough to keep him alert, creating a quiet but ongoing tension.
Just kind of spitting on me, so need to get some coffee in me for sure. It's about 6:30. Oh man, that's a horrible feeling. All cozy up here. And I'm out of coffee. I have to get my butt up.
Conditions begin to change. Light rain starts falling across the campsite, forcing him to adjust his setup and protect his gear. The damp air and darkness make even simple tasks feel more difficult.
Cozy little giant green bean of mine. And go boil some water. Well, I suppose the only problem is with some of these bags.
Stepping out of the hammock, he tends to the fire and prepares to boil water. Now fully exposed to the cold and wet surroundings, the atmosphere feels more intense. The distant calls and darkness add a sense of vulnerability, turning routine movements into something more careful and controlled. Despite the conditions, the campsite holds. Through careful preparation, he keeps his gear dry and maintains warmth through the night. By early morning, the tension begins to fade. This camping encounter leaves a quiet kind of pressure that never fully goes away. So when nothing really happens but the feeling stays, would you ignore it or keep paying attention? For 3 days, a man noticed unfamiliar people moving through the woods near his cabin on his property. They wore cloaks or heavy clothing, and they were not anyone he recognized. One evening, his camera captured them on footage. They were spread across different areas, but all moving in the same direction. They did not react to the camera or show any sign of noticing him. After those 3 days, it suddenly stopped, and they were never seen again. He reported it, but no one in the area had any answers. What do you think they were doing out there? This video, shared by LQC.TV on TikTok, was recorded on a ranch in Mexico at night. A man was inspecting his land when he noticed a figure standing completely still in the dark. The man suddenly stops. He doesn't speak and doesn't move, almost as if frozen.
Me está hablando.
After a moment, he turns away.
¡Puta madre! ¡Puta madre! ¡Oh, Dios! ¿Dónde está? Ay.
It seems like he can finally breathe again, and when he looks back, the figure is gone. He later checks the area but finds no tracks. Some viewers pointed out that the figure's feet appear slightly above the ground, which could suggest it was edited in, while others believe it floats because it isn't human. Either way, whatever stood there that night clearly did not look human. This camping encounter leaves a moment that feels hard to explain. So what do you think was really standing there? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.